I have 2 samples of knitting here, and I'm going to bind them off 2 different ways. And I'm actually going to go over, like most people who are right-handed, and I'm going to do this right-handed. So the traditional way that most people do it is they knit the first stitch, then they knit the second stitch here, they slip the first stitch over the second stitch, knit the next stitch, stick the back stitch over the front stitch, and this is the same thing like I did with the table knitting. Again, knit 1, take that, pull it over, 1, take it, pull it over, knit 1, pull it over, yeah. And now we have 1 stitch left, and what you're going to do with that is you pull the rest of the thread through it, and this should have been just a loose piece of thread, but I'll put the rest of the ball through here. That creates essentially an overhand knot, secures the knitting, cut it off, weave in the end, you're done. Now the way I learned to bind off was a little different. The way I learned to bind off was you did or didn't, I don't remember, knit the first stitch, but you slip the stitch back to the left needle, and then you knit 2 stitches together. Slip it to the back needle again, knit 2 stitches together, and continue on. And again, till you have the 1 stitch, and then you pull the rest of the ball through, and you're done. Now, if you'll notice, the top may actually look a bit different. I'm not quite sure. This side. Yeah, whatever. That's the bottom. That's the top. So, at any rate, now, the way that I did this sample is very similar to the way that one does the second half of the basic stitch in Tunisian crochet. So you see I've done the first half of the basic stitch. I've got all my stitches on my hook. And again, I'm going to make my first stitch, which is essentially a chain or a knit stitch, or just one, Now I'm going to wrap over and pull 2 stitches together, which is very similar to knit 2 together. Once again, wrap, knit 2 together, or crochet 2 together, 2 loops together, all the way across. And of course, I'm doing crochet righty, so I'm going in the opposite direction, sort of. But when I'm finished, I can either start my next row of basic stitch, as if I'm continuing, or if this were the end of my piece, just pull the end through, and you will notice, or should notice, that the tops of both should look identical, and it would be easier if I had a single color here. But basically, the top of the alternate bind off for knitting gives the same top off as the end of the basic stitch or the end of Tunisian crochet.
End?
Yep.